My name is Jeppe from Blaabjerg, and I'm presenting the paper towards language-based mitigation of traffic analysis attacks, work that I've done together with my advisor Aslan Askarov. We begin with a motivating example. Alice's doctor has asked her to take a test and to send the result back to the doctor for evaluation. The doctor then replies to Alice whether everything is fine and no further action is needed, or whether she needs to contact a specialist for further treatment. This communication is taking place online using standard internet protocols. But because it's happening in the open, it makes it susceptible to eavesdropping by malicious parties. And by observing whether Alice sends a message to the specialist, they can infer the result of Alice's test. And note that this is revealed by the fact that Alice sends a message and does not require that the malicious party can read the message that Alice sends. We identify 4 properties of network communication that are observable to an attacker. Because the attacker can observe when messages are sent, they can of course count the number of messages that they see. They can also observe the size of messages sent and whom messages are sent to. Finally, they can observe the time at which messages are sent. So if any of these depend on secrets, it creates a side channel allowing an attacker to break confidentiality by performing a very simple analysis of the traffic. Techniques for mitigating traffic analysis have commonly been developed at the systems level using black box techniques that are unaware of the specific program behavior. By padding communication rate and size to some constant, the genuine communication can be effectively hidden. Unfortunately, this padding strategy incurs large and often prohibitive overheads in traffic and latency in order to obtain good security. Our approach is program-aware using language-based mitigation. We let the shape of the traffic be controlled from the program source and use information flow control to enforce that traffic shape does not leak secrets. In order to hide the size of messages that are sent, we let communication be done by fixed size packets and messages being coded as a sequence of packets. We focus on protecting the shape of the traffic and assume that packet content can be protected, for example, by encryption. We developed Selene, a simple imperative language with input and output over labeled channels. The language has runtime support for scheduling and queuing messages. This figure presents the grammar for Selene, but I'll focus on presenting just some of the commands. The input command is used for obtaining an input value by decoding a sequence of incoming packets on a channel. The size of command computes the runtime size of an expression. This is useful for determining the number of packets needed to send a message. The schedule command schedules packets on a channel. It takes the channel, the number of packets to schedule, and a time delay before sending the packets. Finally, the queue command is used for queuing a message on a channel. It takes the channel and the message to queue. In case the size of the message is larger than the packet size, the message is split into a number of packets as necessary. When packets are scheduled to be sent, the runtime system takes packets from this queue. So sending a message in Selene consists of 2 parts: setting up a schedule and queuing up the message. It's worth elaborating on the scheduling queue semantics. We have 2 corner cases. In the first corner case, a schedule has been set up, but the queue is empty. In this case, dummy packets are sent instead. Here it helps that packets have fixed size, so we know what size to give dummy packets. In the other corner case, packets have been queued, but no schedule has been set up. In this case, the packets simply remain queued. Scheduling is globally deterministic. The semantics keeps track of time counter t, and we assume that for any time, at most 1 packet can be scheduled. If we attempt to schedule new packets at an already set times, we simply move the new packets to the earliest possible slot. In this example, we can see that packets are already set for Alice and Bob, so the 4 new packets for Charlie cannot be inserted consecutively at the requested time, but are instead split up. To give intuition for what Selene programs look like, we can revisit the medical referral example from the beginning. Alice begins by computing the size of the result and schedules this many packets to the doctor in 5 time steps. She then computes the size of her ID and schedules this many packets to the specialist in 100 time steps. She now queues up her result from the doctor and awaits reply from the doctor telling her if she needs treatment. In case she needs treatment, she queues up her ID for the specialist. This way, only if she needs treatment is her ID actually sent to the specialist. Otherwise, only dummy packets are sent. But because packets are sent in either case, the confidentiality of Alice's test result is preserved. We give a progress-sensitive security type system for Selene. Variables are labeled with their security level, and the security level of the context is given by program counter PC. The type system is progress sensitive, so for example, if we branch in a high variable, the program counter remains high. This is because the attacker model is timing sensitive, so any timing difference between the 2 branches could cause a leak. The typing rule for schedule requires that the program counter, the number of packets we schedule, and the time at which we schedule are all public. This is because the effect of scheduling, the packets that are sent over the network, are publicly observable. The rule for queue, on the other hand, is more akin to a normal output rule. Because we assume that packet content is sufficiently protected, the rule only needs to check that the channel we queue on is trusted enough to know the program counter and the value that we queue. To see an example of what the type system rules out, we revisit the medical referral example again. In this version of the program, Alice only schedules to the specialist in case she needs treatment. That is, she only sends packets to the specialist in case she needs treatment, thereby revealing this fact to an eavesdropping attacker. The security condition we want Selene programs to satisfy is based on the knowledge-based approach of Askarov and Sabelfeld. The knowledge of an attacker at level L, given an initial configuration CFG and an emitted trace tau, is the set of other configurations that are equivalent to the initial configuration and in a number of steps produce a trace that look the same to the attacker. This knowledge definition gives us a natural way of stating our security condition. It says that the knowledge of the attacker after observing tau and alpha should be lower bounded by the attacker knowledge of observing only tau. Intuitively, this means that observing event alpha revealed no new information to the attacker. We have a soundness theorem, and in the paper show that well-typed Selene programs do not leak by their output behavior by showing that the security condition is satisfied for all emitted traces tau and alpha. The ideas in the design of Selene provide an insight on mitigating traffic analysis, but are not without shortcomings. In particular, our design requires that the PC is low when scheduling. Of course, this requirement makes sense, as the effects of scheduling, the packets sent, are publicly observable. But because the type system is progress sensitive, it leads to PC creep, thereby restricting when new packets can be scheduled. There are different possible approaches for mitigating this PC creep, for example by extra precision in the static reasoning or by declassification. And declassification could take different forms. Value declassification could declassify a secret variable before using it for branching. Alternatively, PC declassification could declassify which branch was taken and whether an input statement succeeded. I want to leave you with the following takeaways. First and foremost, that traffic analysis is a significant concern, and IFC models should reflect that. Any model for secure online communication ought to take traffic analysis into account. And second, that language-based solutions are possible, and they offer the potential to reduce overheads compared to black box techniques. And third, I think there's a potential for exciting future research and for looking into new language designs for mitigating traffic analysis. Thank you.